Is distributed energy now a financial asset in its own right?
Distributed energy has certainly evolved into a financial asset. And it's obviously very appealing for a number of institutional investors. That's why BlackRock has invested in Positive Zero. Investors are looking for predictable cash flow and minimal risk. You don't get that on single projects, but you do get that when you aggregate a number of small projects into a bigger portfolio like we have with our 300 megawatts of solar in the region. And when you aggregate into a bigger portfolio, when you have long-term offtake arrangements or power purchase agreements, when you have creditworthy off-takers, you have minimal risk. And so you have predictability and stability of cash flow.
No, that's really, and I think that's, I mean, with Positive Zero, especially now with the federal law that was introduced in 2025, which will now hopefully come into absolute mandation in May of this year. I mean, how many companies know that they can avail of what you guys are doing? How do you actually get the word out there?
We have benefited quite a lot from channel partners and from big client accounts. Some of our biggest client accounts are DP World, Lulu, Landmark, and we're trying to, as I said, be a one-stop shop for decarbonization needs. So reducing the energy demand through energy efficiency measures or optimization of data, all the way to installing solar on their rooftop to make their energy supply greener, to managing their mobility needs and fleet electrification.
Yeah. So, I mean, you guys, I mean, you're so lucky. I know from the, previous working with impact SMEs here in the market, trying to introduce solar and residential, it's been very difficult for them. So when you've got more industrialized solutions, then it's great. But then organizations like this can actually partner with larger corporates, because I think nowadays partnerships and collaborations are the only way forward that we can actually get on the road to net zero. I think that's really interesting. So how do boards evaluate climate investments differently today than they did 5 years ago? I mean, have you seen big changes?
Yes. I mean, I can tell you that in the span of my career, when I started as a junior associate lawyer, my first solar energy deal was 15 years ago in the US, and it only got off the ground because of US government subsidies. The price at the utility scale per kilowatt hour was around 37 cents per kilowatt hour. Fast forward to today, it's around 1 cent per kilowatt hour at the utility scale. So the unit economics make a lot more sense now. The trajectory has been huge. And so when boards are evaluating climate solutions, it's not a question of do we decarbonize? It's a question of what if we don't decarbonize? What happens to our balance sheet if we don't decarbonize? And more often than not, the sustainable solution is as cost competitive as a conventional solution.
And so I think how do you structure long-term agreements and making them bankable? But I think you've already touched on that by showing the OpEx and the way you organize so that you're showing the bankable strategy, and probably hence you have BlackRock investing in your company as well. On regulations, do you think that regulators are keeping up with the innovations and with what's happening now? Are there enough regulations in the country currently?
Well, the regulators have not been shy about their ambition. I mean, following the Paris Agreement, there have been so many policy initiatives that are very ambitious, and renewable energy targets that are very ambitious in the region. And the regulations that have followed have been generally very favorable. One example is the net metering scheme with Dubai Shams regulation in Dubai. Why is that favorable? Because as clients produce more energy than they can consume, they get a 1-for-1 credit from the grid. So the regulations have been favorable, but they have not kept pace with innovation. The technological innovation, the commercial solutions have gone a lot faster than the regulations. And that creates first mover advantage in the market. But there's also regulatory uncertainty. And of course, capital and investors like certainty.
Yes. Yeah.
And there's quite a lot of regulatory dynamism and difference between different jurisdictions, even within the UAE, for example.